It's great. It's weird. It's different. We'll get used to it. Pat Brown, I'm glad I know you. I'm glad you're on the other end of this connection because I could use some clarification. On December 1st, 2024,
Yeah.
something big is happening. I was in my wallet the other day going through looking for something, searching through the voluminous stack of FAA certificates I have. And only one of them has an expiration date on it, and that's about to change. That's a big deal.
That's a big, big deal. The CFI expiration date goes away. How about that? On December 1st, like you said.
But the expiration doesn't go away, just the expiration date on the certificate. You still have to keep up on activities and currency and all that stuff. And that's a change from what it used to be.
Yeah, every 24 calendar months, you still have to renew it, and you can still renew it by the usual ways, which I'm sure we'll talk about here in the next few minutes. But the expiration date on the certificate itself goes away, just like if any of our viewers hold ground instructor certificates, those haven't had expiration dates on them ever. So this is just going to bring it's going to bring the CFI certificate in line with everything else.
And I guess I hadn't thought of this till just now. When I endorsed somebody's logbook, what we did, here's my signature, CFI number, expiration date. That's no longer going to be going in people's logbooks, I assume.
Well, that's an interesting detail that I'm not sure has really been settled yet. I have heard rumors, and we can shoot another one of these episodes. Once some of the dust is settled. But I have heard rumors that there may be some additional ways to renew your certificate. But our colleagues at AOPA, who I call whenever I have a question like this, have indicated they're waiting for some interpretations from the FAA, which they haven't gotten yet, so that folks have some context. It's the 15th of the 15th of October, as we're recording this, 2024. And so hopefully within the next few weeks, certainly before December 1st, I hope we have some clarification on things like that expiration date, because your certificate will expire at the end of the 24th calendar month. There is an expiration date. It's just not written on your certificate anymore.
And I suppose it's probably worth touching on, why are they doing this? Why is the FAA making this change? And part of it is no other certificate has an expiration date on it. None of them.
That's correct.
So this is falling in line now, the CFI certificate with everything else. The other thing, it's actually a cost-cutting and efficiency measure, because if you think about it, every single CFI, and there are thousands and thousands of us, have to have a new certificate processed and printed and mailed out every 24 months. That's a pretty considerable workload and an expense. So this is one of those things, kind of like when they got rid of the AME, the medical examiner giving us our student pilot certificates. They moved that to DPEs and CFIs. FAA is kind of shedding some workload and putting it off on the rest of us. And that's okay. That's fair. But it should make things a little bit easier in Oklahoma City, a little bit more cost effective. And it's just the way all the other certificates are.
Right. But the reality, as far as you and I are concerned, and any other CFI that's watching this, it really doesn't change much. If anything, we can renew our CFI. If you look at 61.197, delineates 4 or 5 ways that we can do that. We can either pass a practical test.
I've done that.
Whether we're expired or not, we can take a practical test, or we can add an additional rating. That's one way. If we have 5 sign-offs in the last 24 calendar months with an 80% first-time pass rate, we can do it that way. If at a 121 or 135 operation, we have served within the last 24 calendar months as a company check pilot, chief CFI, company check airman, or just a CFI, under a 121 or 135 operation, we can renew it that way. Or if you hold a position involving the regular evaluation of pilots as an examiner, because I'm regularly evaluating pilots, my expiration every 2 years is actually pretty simple. It's just fill out an IACRA by activity and get together with my managing specialist, and he'll renew my CFI without having to really do anything because I'm doing that. Other ways you can do it is with a FERC, a Flight Instructor Refresher Clinic, and some FERCs can include a ground and flight portion, but according to the regs, any combination of the two, either or a combination of both works. And the other thing that a lot of people don't realize is that if you're in the military and you're a CFI in the military and you've passed an official Armed Forces military CFI or pilot examiner proficiency check in an airplane that you're already rated in, or you add an additional rating, then you can renew your civilian certificate that way as well. And then the one that's not in the regs that's really interesting is the wings credit thing. You remember that one?
Oh yeah, yeah. That's an interesting one. I like that they included that, to tell you the truth, because wings is largely underutilized in my opinion.
It's very much so. And so if you are a current CFI and you hold a wings accredited flight activity at any level, basic, advanced, or master, and you sign off at least 15 wings accredited flight activities for at least 5 different pilots, so a total of 15 spread over 5 different pilots. Just you can actually bring that to me as an examiner or any other ASI of the FISDO, for example, and we can renew your CFI based on your wings credit activity, and that's a very, very cool thing.
That's part of the good thing about this. It's a change, which means we have to adapt to it. But they've actually given us a number of ways to renew. And I want to say something about the FERC, if I could. I'm a big fan. I've gone the live FERC route. And when I started in this, just like when you did, it was 24 hours. It was 3 days out at a clinic. I've done the online one. I've done a check ride. I've gone down to the seaplane base and now I take a CFI check ride. There's no reason to be afraid of this stuff. But many people misunderstand how the FERC works, and especially newer CFIs doing their first or second renewal. You don't have to wait. If your CFI expires on December 31st, and it won't, well, it kind of will, but it kind of won't after this, you don't have to take your FERC in the last 2 weeks of December.
Correct.
You can start it in May, and you can just do an hour here, an hour there, whittle away at it, and it gives you much less pressure, much more time. You could finish it in October and file your paperwork and still have a December expiration date. So you have a lot of latitude. And one other cool thing that I really do like about this new rule for CFIs who have lapsed, provided you've lapsed for less than 3 months, less than 90 days, you can just take a FERC and your CFI is reinstated. That really simplifies the old way where you had to go take a check ride. This one you don't. Just go do the FERC and you're back in the game. So really the FAA has given us a tremendous gift here where we've got all these methods of renewal. We can even get a lapsed CFI back, provided we do it in a reasonably timely manner. Not much changes except when we finally get the new certificate. And am I wrong in thinking that's in 2027? When we get that new certificate, that'll be the last one we get, and it won't have an expiration date printed on it.
Well, in 2027?
I thought I saw something in the Federal Register about that. There's some component of this that's 2027. And I have a tiny little pea brain. I rely on you for the big research. So there's some part of this, and it's in item 10 in the big list of things on the Federal Register. That part kicks off in 2027. But that gives us time to do another episode, Pat. We could look into that.
Yeah, it's going to have to be that because I don't remember that one. I mean, it stands to reason that in December of 2024, no more expiration dates appear. But if you got an expiration date on November the 30th, then you would still have an expiration date of I guess it would be November 30th of 2026. So I'm not quite sure what the 2027 is, but hey, you caught me flat-footed on that one. I'll look that one up.
Well, I got to out myself. I'm not entirely sure I'm correct on that, but I know we will be getting new certificates at some point, and they won't have expiration dates. And since you brought up the wings program, They do mention the pilot proficiency program, which is a wings thing. There's a change there where it's 15 activities now, not 15 hours. So
Yeah, yeah. If I said hours, I misspoke myself. It's 15 wings related activities. That is true.
you might have said the right thing and I was just drifting off. You know, my advanced age, sometimes I'm not entirely with it. But no, I think this is really exciting stuff. It's something that people might get overly excited about, especially if your expiration date is coming up in the next few months. Don't sweat it. There is an expiration, and we do have to be aware of what that is as CFIs. But we've got activity or the pilot proficiency program, the 121, 135 thing you talked about. We could just take a FERC. So there's still a lot of options to renew. I think you could arguably say if there's more options now than there were prior to December 1st.
Oh yeah, I mean, especially the one that you can go up to 3 months um, past your expiration date. I can't tell you the number of CFIs that have called me in the last year, and most of them are CFIs that have gone onto the airlines and they've lost track of it, and all of a sudden they realize that, oh my God, it expires at the end of this month. You know, what can I do? Well, get the FERC done quick, and then come see me, and we'll get you taken care of.
That's a real thing because I mean, I used to work for Gleim writing FERCs and all the books, and obviously I've had input. I helped write the AOPA FERC at one point. I can't tell you how often CFIs call in or write in. My CFI expires tonight. Can I get the FERC done? No, because it's
Yeah.
16 hours. Now, ironically enough, you could just buckle down and do it over the weekend and you're reinstated by Monday. So it's it's great. It's weird. It's different. We'll get used to it. It's not as big as the airspace change that happened back in the old days.
Yeah, really, really. All right, man. I think everybody's up to speed. Would you say? Would you agree?
I agree entirely. If folks have been watching since the beginning, they're so much more illuminated and understand the situation better thanks to your references, which are just stellar, and me coming up with this weird 2027 date that I'm going to have to look up. Pat, thanks so much. I appreciate y'all. Thanks for tuning in. Please click like, subscribe to the channel, leave us a comment down below because I know you got an opinion on this, and come back and see us in the future because we'll be right here. Me and Pat, we're not allowed out of the house doing another episode of Mad Props Aero. See you next time.
Adios.